You're listening to SM Media, the home of exclusive West of Scotland Football League content. Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media West of Scotland Football Show. I'm Scotland Pike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always, and I'm delighted to welcome this week's special guest. It is a privilege to have on the show the manager of Rossvale, Kevin Kelly. Kevin, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks a lot, Scott. Thanks for having me on tonight.
No worries, it's a pleasure. Pleasure. How you been?
Okay. I just obviously looking forward to Saturday whenever the game on Saturday there. So a wee rest and recuperation day. Well, we still trained in the morning, but nice to have a wee bit of time off with the family and get ready to go again this week.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, as well, a lot of games were kind of called off for different reasons, but it turned out to be a pretty eventful weekend.
Oh, absolutely. Some crazy scores. It's things that people probably would never have thought, and I'm sure there was a few cooking busters in there as well. But I'm sure when we get into it, we'll find out.
Aye, certainly we'll go through all the games over the weekend later on. We're going to touch a wee bit on obviously Rossvale just now. Been a bit of a wild season. I'm sure you'll agree. I know we spoke at the start of the season. We were kind of speaking about that. There was potentially going to be a bit of a difficult season. It's turned out that way. I know you were kind of thinking that that's the way it would be. If I was to give you from when we spoke at the start of the season to now, what's it kind of been like? Has it been difficult? I know getting in there at the start of the season, it's obviously been a lot going on over your head and over the club set. How's it on the field been, first of all?
On the field, we've certainly been in transition, should we say? Not just with the playing side of it, but also with the management side. I managed to bring in Scott Black, and also later on in the season we recruited John McGowan, who has an absolutely terrific coach. Terrific coach and manager, and really happy to have him. And along with the experience of bringing in Stephen Saunders. Stephen speaks for himself. His pedigree of playing and coming into the game as coaching has been great as well. And being able to have those two with their experience along with Scott has started to work wonders. And I just wish, at the starting point was now rather than 6 months previous.
And obviously as well, like with what's been going on with the kind of the club split and things like that, how hard has it been to focus on the on-field stuff with all that going on in the background?
To be honest, our committee and chairman things do a great job. They let us just get on with it, and they deal with everything in the background. And to be honest, I know there's been a lot of talk about this and that, and the club have had their hands tied. We in a sense, with a great support, but in a sense we can only play with what we've got, and at this moment we don't have a lot until the things off the field are resolved. And it's a credit to them and also the playing staff for being able to go along with it.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously when you look at the league, obviously position sitting bottom, I think we'll say this every week, and I know you'll agree with this. The standard of the league is unbelievable.
It's definitely the most competitive I've ever seen this league, and I'm sure it's probably the most competitive that most have seen. Being a young manager and new into the management game, but being around the juniors for a long time. You look at the calibre of opposition in there and the calibre of club. It's been tough. I'll be disappointed to be where we are. Absolutely. I didn't envisage us being there because of the start that we had, but obviously the things that that were happening off the field, kind of tie their hands a bit to what we could and couldn't do, which is kind of led to where we're at. But again, take no responsibility away from myself. We've got to look at that and hopefully be able to build again for next year.
There are obviously some results, like just looking at the kind of cups more than anything as well. I mean, just getting beaten penalties by Neilston 12-11, it shows you that there's, so competitive as well, but it's not like you're kind of no putting fights in. There's some big kind of results there that have just, it's kind of been difficult, but obviously you must take a lot of pride for the results.
Oh, absolutely. The see the group of players that's in that dressing room. I've genuinely, Scott, never seen a group of players in a dressing room so tight, especially after everything they've been through. You know, it's an absolute credit to them, and there's some incredible talent in there as well. You know, we've already had inquiries for a number of clubs for a number of our players, and that's a credit to them and a credit to, you know, our management team as well for being able to produce that under such tight restraints. You know, and the fact that you know, put it out there, and I'm sure everybody knows, not one of these players came and asked for anything. They just wanted. Some of them had fell away for the game. Some of them wanted to find their way in the game again, and they've certainly done that. And they've been a credit to themselves. And probably over the last, you know, couple of weeks, maybe found themselves in more a disappointing streak than that. You know, but again, like you see, some amazing performances. Our performance against Blantyre last week or a few weeks ago was excellent. Was absolutely excellent, and everybody, a man, was seeing that. And it's probably just the consistency that's let us down. I think the thing with the cups is there's maybe a wee bit less pressure, and having such a young dressing room, maybe some of them will now learn that, you know, if as long as you play with no fear, then these things can happen. You know, these results can happen. But the Neilston result, I mean, 13-12 or 12-11 in penalties, whatever it may be, was crazy. You know, my old club, I loved it up there. You know, the club up there are great. The people that run the club are really good. But it would have been nice to come away victors, never mind getting beaten penalties.
Yeah, obviously as well, like, getting away for Rossville for a wee second, obviously there's the Memorial Day in memory of your dad. That must be a kind of massive occasion for yourself and the family.
Listen, I must admit, you know, it was something that we'd thought about, but the person that's really put the wheels in motion for that has been David Galt, you know, at Partick Thistle Charitable Trust. You know, he came and approached me a couple of months ago, him and John McGowan around this, and they've really set the wheels in motion, and I've kind of just been part of that to say yes, no, or maybe, you know, and mostly it's been yes, because, you know, we've been friends for a long time, and we understand how important this is for me and the family, and, you know, and for everybody that's associated with him as well. You know, it's important that people that were associated with him within the game and out with the game are able to go and enjoy a day under that banner. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a great occasion for yourselves and obviously everybody that knew Paul. We will get into talking about the results over the weekend. Obviously, Rossville didn't have a game, but I'm keen to get your thoughts in the first division in particular. Obviously, 3 big games happened there, but we'll start with the action in the Cup. We will start at Auchinleck. Auchinleck been a difficult week, obviously been kicked out of the South Challenge Cup. They responded pretty well, a 3-1 home win over Gartcairn, and they're in the Cup semi-final of the West. Mason, Park and Smith with the goals. Some result for Auchinleck, and again, big lift, obviously, after a difficult week.
Well, listen, they do what they do. They're a machine at times, you know. They're an absolute machine. We played them earlier in the season, and I was very impressed just the way they're able to execute a game plan, you know. And you've seen in the past, it doesn't really matter who they come up against. They stick to that plan, and they do it really, really well. They've got some of the best players in this division or level of football. You know, their goalie that speaks for himself. And the boy Boylan at the top, you know, a very, very accomplished striker who gives real threat to any defence. So, you know, especially to do that against Gartcairn, who I also thought were a very good side. We played them well earlier in the season. Am I surprised? No. Am I surprised at the big gap? I kind of.
Big result. I imagine you'll be happy with this. St Roch's beat Craigmark 4-3 to advance to semi-finals. Again, a double from Paul Brennan, goals from McQueen and Maguire. Tight game at Craigmark, but some achievement for St Roch's to get to the semis.
Listen, that club's went through a bit of turmoil over the last few weeks as well, as it's been put out there, and it is a credit to them, a credit to the players in the dressing room just to get knuckled down and get through to the next round. It's never an easy place to go, Craigmark. You know, knowing Paul Brennan and Brian McQueen very well, I'm sure they two will be more than happy to get through, but to get themselves on a score sheet, then, you know, it makes it even special for them. Yeah,
Kilwinning are into the semi-finals as well. That'll be a good buzz for Kilwinning. Difficult league season so far. They're another team that went through a bit of turmoil in terms of the management front. Thomas Collins scoring a double, and you know as well, obviously Drumchapel gave you a tough time a couple of weeks ago. Kilwinning to win 2-0, there's a very good result.
Especially up there, you know, especially up there. I mean, I seen Adam's interview after the game about, you know, Drumchapel being favourites, and for me, quite rightly so, because you know they're on that kind of crest of the wave at the moment. You know, a lot of enthusiasm around the place and some real quality. but it just shows that, you know, grit and determination and a decent game plan gets you through it. And credit to Coleman, absolute credit. And, you know, Thomas Collins, you know, he's done it for years and pops up again, you know.
Yeah, and the final team in the semi-finals are Clydebank. They beat Neilston 3-2, a double from Nicky Little and a goal from Kelly. And again, Clydebank, they're kind of going under the radar.
They certainly are. They certainly are, and they certainly seem to be picking up the momentum. Morph's doing a great job there. Neilston never an easy place to go, and am I surprised it was so tight? No, I'm not, because they work well up there, and under the new management at Neilston have done well. But Clydebank have always got that bit of quality, especially with Little up front.
Yep. From now on, from every week from now until the finals, I'm going to put the guest on the spot and ask them who's going to win it. You've got Auchinleck, Kilwinning, Clydebank, and St Rochs. Who's walking away with the West of Scotland Cup?
I think it'd be hard to go away for the Talbot. You know, like I said earlier, they're a bit of a winning machine. They just manage to find a way to win, and that's what he does. So it'd be hard to go away from him.
Yeah, I think Talbot as well could be. Again, you can't back against them in cup games. Massive result in the Premier Division. Let's start with that. Darvel went to Troon again, just looking to close the gap in Bede. Bede obviously didn't have a game. Started well, a good start. Scott Ferguson put them ahead after 2 minutes, but Troon, brilliant comeback, double from Kyle Gilroy, goals from Ben Black and Sam Jameson. And I think the result of the weekend, probably in Scottish football, Troon 4, Darvel 1. We'll start with Troon first. They're in a brilliant winning streak. They've won 5 of the last 6. That's it. They're in really good form, and it shows you just getting that wee run can get you put you some places in the league.
I absolutely, Scott, and I think a credit to them, especially against that Darvel side, you know. But being able to, I think in any league, especially that league, you know, being able to kind of put a run of five out of the last 6 together, one that gets you out of trouble, and it also gets you into contention, you know. And I'm sure they'll be more than happy with that, you know.
Darvel, obviously, since the Falkirk game, I'm sure Mick would agree with this. Actually, he said this on his 100th game as well, which shows you just he'd have wanted a big result on Saturday, obviously, just to keep the league running, to get back to winning ways in the league. Since the Falkirk game, though, Darvel have struggled.
They seem to have struggled. I don't know what's happened there. You know, listen, Mick, 100 games in charge. I think it's an incredible feat.
Yeah, certainly.
Especially you don't see many managers hanging around at clubs for so long, and the job that he's done there, been able to build them from where they were to where they are now has been excellent. But just over the last couple of weeks since the Falkirk game, I actually went to a Falkirk game, and I thought that they maybe just looked a wee bit tired. You know, they maybe just looked a wee bit tired, and I think maybe since then the what can you say, the enthusiasm's maybe went away a wee bit, and they're just trying to find their feet again. You know.
What do you think as well? Obviously, with the likes of like kind of David Syme, he was on loan at Troon, suddenly comes back into the Darvel team. Do you think there's that's getting read too much into the kind of chopping and changing of the squad a wee bit?
Nah, I think again, I was saying to you about them being looking maybe a wee bit jaded. You know, I think maybe that's just it just needs freshened up. It's not, you know, Mick's probably the best person to tell you he's done a great job there. You know, it's not for me to say or criticise or, you know, say what he should or shouldn't be doing. You know, if I was looking to do anything, then I'd probably be going to him rather than him coming to me. But I don't think there's anything to be read into that. He obviously feels that things needed freshened up a bit, and he brought him back. You know.
Without obviously playing, the winners of the weekend have probably been Bede.
Well, it's funny that, isn't it? It's funny because I look at ourselves and think us not playing, we're probably, you know, it's a double shot rather than being a winner. But you know, Beath are probably looking at thinking, rubbing their hands and thinking, right, let's go here. You know, it's all we go for.
Arvin Meadow beat Pollock 2-0 as well. Obviously, Pollock again probably in title contention as well. If they again, that'll be a dampener for them, but a massive result for Arvin Meadow and puts them up to 4th place. And again, they've had their kind of problems as well with kind of managerial changes too in the one season. They're still not kind of fully sorted in that regard, but to get a 2-0 victory against Pollock, it's some result.
I think first and foremost, the Meadows never an easy place to go. You know, it's never an easy place to go. So you always know that you're in for a battle there, and it seems like the Meadow have come out on top. You know, both clubs have had managerial changes, so you couldn't, you know, it's not as if you could put it down to that, or sometimes you just have an off day. I've actually seen the sending off for Stuart McCann. I think it's harsh. I think it's seriously harsh. I know that
I think with a lot of that this weekend, yeah.
I'm not 100% sure as to what the score was at that point, but you know, if that's at 1-0, you know you're still in it. But to go down to 10 men, and especially at a place like the Medal where they've got so much determination and grit to go and beat you and quality, you know, it's always going to be hard.
How difficult is that as well? Like the kind of referee decisions like that will be kind of theme of the week, because we'll talk about it a lot in the SPFL show later on. But I mean, it's just been there's been a lot. You see a lot on Twitter the past couple of days. There's been a lot of bad decisions over the weekend.
Well, listen, I'm probably not the best person to ask about that. You know, and any referee that watches this is probably saying, you're right, you're probably not the best person to ask. But I think there's been some poor decisions this season, and seeing that again and Saturday, you know, I don't think they cover themselves in a lot of glory at times. No, listen, you know, everybody's due to make mistakes. Everybody, you look at the highest level, even with VAR, some of them can't get it right. So when there's Saturdays and these guys have got no linesmen, it's hard. Does it stop me from shouting at them? Probably no. But that's all in the heat of the moment, you know.
We'll move into the next game. The perfect new manager bounce for Arthur. Colin Riley obviously went in there. Big 2-1 home victory over Cumnock. Max Kerr had an eventful day, scored, but gets sent off.
You know, the funny thing, I watched Colin's side Villa Clyde against Petershill earlier on in the season, and I looked at how well organised and how hard they worked. So to have done it in such a small space of time, you know, to get a result of that, it's probably a little bit of a shock. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm no surprised. You know, he sets his teams up well and managing to get a result. I think there's always that thing when a new manager comes in, you get that wee bounce, like you say. But to be able to do it against a strong Cumnock side like that, especially when things haven't been going so well at the club, and you know, it'd be easy for the players to throw in a towel. It shows how much the players think of the manager as well, which is great for him, you know.
I think that as well. Obviously, like Arthur Lee, it has been a bit of turmoil probably since the start of the season as well, with Andy leaving and things like that.
Yeah.
To then kind of get Colin in, who always strikes me whenever I speak to him as very calm and collected. To get him in, it will bring a huge lift for the club, and it'll be important obviously when they've got a kind of tight run from now to the end of the season. I think they've only 8 games to save their Premier Division spot.
Like you say, it very calm and collected, and I think it's a shrewd bit of business for Arthur Lee. You know, like you say, they've had their turmoil. They had a manager appointed, and then 2 days later, he decides, no, it's not for me, and it's like, all right, we need to go back to the drawing board. But I'm sure if you were to back end it to get them out of that, then Colin, certainly with his credentials of being so calm and just taking one game at a time, he'll certainly be doing that.
Yep, big 3 points for Glenafton as well. A 2-1 home win over Cambuslang. Hugh Carey and Michael Moffat with the goals. And again, Glenafton, they've been a bit of a difficult run. They 3 games without a win. Just to get their 3 points at home is big.
Listen, any 3 points at this level is big. You know, you never take a win for granted. But you know, going down to Glenafton, I'm sure Cambuslang are looking forward to it especially the way the results have been going. You're always looking for that result to pick you up. But you know, I can't say it's a surprise for Glenafton, to be honest.
Yep, and a wee bit of news as well. Quite unsurprisingly, Cumnock Glenafton semi-final with the Junior Cup has been moved from Auchinleck to Irvine. I don't think we're surprised with that.
No, I'm certainly not surprised. What I am surprised at, which I think's pretty, which I do agree with some of the supporters, and I know speaking to some of the players as well, playing it on a Friday night, you know, getting some of the guys back for work and stuff like that to down there, some of the Glasgow-based guys. Anybody really that's working and expecting supporters to get down there and stuff, I think it's unfair. I think, you know, it could have been looked at, you know, over 2 Saturdays or even a Saturday and a Sunday, you know.
Yeah.
It could have been looked. I think it's harsh on the clubs, but am I surprised that the venue's been changed? Absolutely not. No,
I was amazed when I heard it was going there anyway. But yeah, I think common sense has prevailed. Let's move into the first division. If there's a result that can show you just how unpredictable this league is, it was St Cardock's on Saturday. St Cardock's 2, Whitelett's Victoria 3. Again, just the unpredictable of this league, and probably a difficult result for yourselves.
Sore one for us. But I'll tell you what, after coming across them last week, no surprise for me. No surprise for me. Really well organised. Really well organised. Get four absolute warriors at the back, and some good creativity. have a real game plan, and the boy Boyd, you know, I'd be very surprised if he's there playing at that level next year. You know, come the end of the season, if he's not playing the Premier Division, I think either Whitlets have done a very good job to tie him up, or you know, I think there'll be other circumstances around that, because if it's for ability, he should be playing at a higher level.
And you kind of been surprised with the position Whitlets have been in this season, because obviously, like you look, the start, I think they won the first 2 games, and then I don't think they won for about 4 months.
I think it's that thing of consistency, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's that thing of consistency, but also look, they've not played, you know, many games in the league. When you look at other teams, you know, they've still got a lot to catch up on. So, if they keep that consistency now, they beat us last week. You know, they get themselves 3 points against St Cadoc's. You know, 6 out of the last 6. I don't know what the running's like. I do know that they've got 4 games at home to finish. That could be a massive factor for them to stay in.
Yeah,
you know, it could be massive for them.
What about St Cadoc's as well? Obviously, when you look at the top of the table, they'd have been looking at this weekend as a massive opportunity with none of the big 3 playing. What do you kind of think of St Cadoc's chances? That'll be a huge blow.
I think it'll be treated as a blow, definitely, and it'll be disappointment for them, you know. But like I say, I think if you were to really go and look at the Whitlet side and what they have to offer, you know, I think you would need to do your homework to really get a result against them now, because if they're able to keep that consistency going, then I don't think many teams will take points off them as long as they can keep going. The quality that St Cadoc's have got, though, you would expect them to maybe just be able to pick holes somewhere, you know, to be able to get a result over the line. But sometimes that's football, and that's the game we love.
Big result for Cumbernauld as well, a 3-1 away win to Shotts. Again, new manager bounce, first win for Jamie Nesbitt and Chris Dolan. And again, Cumbernauld, they've had a really, really poor run. Jamie's went in there and they've got their first win.
Well done. You know, it's just going to be a bit now for them, a bit like ourselves. You know, they just need to take it 1 game at a time, take every 3 points, and every point's a prisoner. You know, and to get it in your first game, that's exactly the bounce that you need. It's obviously disappointing for Shotts, you know, in our home defeat, but you'll just have to roll their sleeves up and go again.
Yeah, you look at Shotts as well. Obviously, they've only played 15 games in the league, so they'll have chances to get back.
Absolutely, Scott. You know, I think that's the thing for us. We're in a situation where we're probably played the 2nd or 3rd most games in the league. You know, there's no many left, and there's certainly no many at home. You know, so that it's going to be tough. But Shotts have got more than enough ability to keep themselves out of that.
And Johnson Borough won 2-1 at home to Thornleywood. They sit in 5th. They actually leapfrogged Gartcairn into 5th. Brophy and Cruden with the goals. Again, massive. 2 teams probably getting into this looking for a big result. Thornleywood, obviously, David's went in there as a new manager. Johnson, again, I think every week they just surprise you, because I think, although we know Jamie's a magnificent manager, it's a really tight league, and I think to be in that position is some achievement for Johnson.
I actually says to Jamie at the start of the season, because I had seen him previously, I would have backed him at being my top 3 this year. I would have backed him at being my top 3. Yeah, I think he's a very good manager, and I think the squad that he had was excellent. But as the season started to occur, you can understand why teams like that are in the position they are, because the league's so competitive. You know, at any week, any team can beat any, as you've seen this week. You know, Whitlet's beaten St Cadoc's, where everybody thought that maybe been a banker for people. You know, and I just think maybe again the lack of consistency. You know, being blown hot and cold might have caused them to be where they are. You know, but don't get me wrong, the quality they've got in their squad and Brophy as well, just you know, it speaks volumes. Being able to keep them and being able to get them on side and on forum and consistently working for you, you know, it's always going to be a plus. It's never going to be a minus for you, is it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when you look at that first division as well, like Kilburnley are still top of the table, Benburb sitting 2nd, St Cadoc's, Drumchapel, Johnson, Gartcairn. It seems to be like those kind of top 6 teams. I think it'll be between them for promotion. Who would you say, you probably watched them all, who would you say would be in the top 3 at the end of the season?
I think now my top 3 will probably be Kilburnley, St Cadoc's and Drumchapel.
Right, okay.
I think that's what it'll be at. In whatever order, to be honest. I think Drumchapel's probably got that wee edge and bit of quality. It's just how they bring it. You know, as long as they can bring it. I watched them against Neilston because we were due to play Neilston and Drumchapel, you know, a week apart. So I made it my to go and watch them. Did it help? Well, it certainly never helped against Drumchapel, but it helped against Neilston, you know. But I think Adam and John are doing a fantastic job up there and being able to keep the players and bring the players in that they have, you know, and the calibre that they have. And you see them strengthening, you know, about Ken Monroe and Jal and the boys that were there, Martin and David Temple, and guys that have been about the block and know what it takes. You'd maybe just back them to get it on top, you know.
But kind of other teams have kind of surprised this season. I mean, you look at, at the start of the season, Bonneton would have been a lot of people's picks to maybe beat the kind of bottom side. They're sitting in ninth place. I mean, you look at teams like that, they've really surprised this season.
They certainly have. They certainly have. Especially we've only come across them once, and I felt that we gave them a torrid time that night. And I must admit, you know, all credit to Ross being able to bring that bit of consistency and that level of application to get yourself there. He's done a great job being able to build that squad. As much as people look at it and say, they came down for the league last year, you know, 7 teams came down for the league last year. Benburg get relegated with 52 points, you know what I mean? It's just nuts. But he's done well. But I think if they can find consistency, I think Whitlets will be the one that people go off. Diesel. I think they could, if they get themselves on a run, no pressure, but if they get themselves on a run, they could really get themselves going, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move into the second division. Points were shared between Glasgow Perthshire and Ashfield, a 2-2 draw. Far from a even game. Glasgow Perthshire were 2-0 up and Ashfield brought it back to 2 each. Classic example of a defeat for what will feel like a defeat for one team and a victory for the other.
I think, first of all, 2 of my old clubs. So, you know, to see the points shared, fair enough. But the Shire's never an easy place to go, is it? You know,
you've been surprised with them this season, just because I mean, for them to be sitting in second, I think it's a massive achievement.
But listen, Billy does a great job there. He does a great job being able to bring players in that he has and being able to keep some of the players that he has. You know, boy Ryan Gemo and Big B up front. You know, being able to keep the two. I know that they've been pivotal to success. And then Kirky, you know, I don't know what age Kirky is. He seems to have the everlasting Duracell batteries in his back. You know, just to churn performances in, week out when needs be. You know, so have I been surprised? I'm probably surprised at the league position, but I'm not surprised at the work rate and how they managed to get themselves there. I'm not surprised at that. But going back to the result on Saturday, they'll be disappointed. You know, being 2-0 up against your rivals, especially in the first half. But again, Michael Oliver gets his team well organised, good bit of quality, wants to get the ball down and play. And again, credit to that's where they are. You know, being able to get a team like what he inherited to where they are now. You know, fair play.
Absolutely. Big result for St Anthony's as well, a 4-1 away win over Ardea. McGarrigle, Dobbs, Omar and McCallum with the goals. And St Anthony, they're now levelling points with Ashfield after that, and they'll just be wanting to push up and try and get into the promotion places.
They for me have been the ones that are getting under the radar a wee bit. You know, I think people are looking at kind of bigger names, but knowing Danny very well. And again, you know, it seems that old cliche and things that I've repeated tonight, but to be able to keep a hold of the players that he has consistently for a couple of years that he's been able to build around. Don't get me wrong, he's lost a couple, but I've been very surprised when we played them in a friendly a few weeks ago. And don't get me wrong, it was by no means each side's strongest side that was played, but you know, it was still a very, very competitive game. We had players coming back for injury that we needed to get playing and stuff like that, and so did they. And you know, you could see the quality and you could see what they were trying to do. It wasn't as if, you know, we just need to do anything to get a game here. You know, they've got a real ethos about how they want to play and who they want to play through, and they know who their target men are. And you know, listen. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if they managed to get themselves up. I certainly wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. Another team who'll be happy with the weekend were Greenock Juniors, a 2-0 home win over Maryhill. That is the first win for a long, long time and a much needed one.
It's very needed for Greenock, very much needed. You know, I'm sure Mark at Maryhill will be disappointed, but the guys at Greenock, you know, they'll be over the moon with that, another 3 points and being able to salvage hopefully their season and get it going again, you know.
Absolutely, big result for Greenock. Other results as well in the second division. Kilsyth Rangers drew 2-2 with Maybole and Wishaw drew 0-0 with Yoker. Maybole, obviously, that'll feel like a missed opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. But again, Kilsyth, they've had consistency of no getting beat a lot. They've no won a lot of games since Callow and Peterman in there. But what they've managed to do is kind of consolidate themselves in the sense of no getting beat. So again, they do that on Saturday. But Maybole will be disappointed that nobody able to try and get 3 points and push themselves on and try and get into the kind of playoff. What would you call it? Promotions places.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move on to the third division. The league that kind of brings out these results that don't really surprise you, but it just shows you it's so even at the top. Irvine Victoria 4, Ardrossan 3, doubles for Savarese for Irvine Vix. Cora scored a double for Ardrossan. Irvine Vix, they're now sitting in third. They've got 4 games in hand on Ardrossan and they sit 5 points behind them. They'll be thinking that's a massive weekend for them.
Well, they'll certainly not be resting on a laurels, especially with so many games in hand. They'll just know that it's a massive week. Well, what I would certainly be saying to the players is, it's one game out the road that it's the other 5 we need to get sorted here. And if they do that, they'll make a real big case for themselves this season, and they'll look to go and strive on and hopefully get up.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. Tight game we thought between Les Mahago and Vale of Clyde. A double from Thomas Sinclair and John Hughes' first game for Vale of Clyde. I think that's a really sensible appointment as well. Obviously replacing a guy like Colin, really good guy in the game, and Vale of Clyde off to a winning start under John.
Again, probably another shrewd appointment. John knowing the club, knowing a lot of the players as well. He'll have a real positive impact. Knowing him how I do, he was my manager at Maryhill, but also I've known him for a number of years, and having that kind of cool, collected head and along with Zoc, who has got that fire in his belly, he did have as a striker, and I know that he does it at the side of the park. It could be a great combination and be the combination that hopefully is able to see them get promoted. But again, 2 goals for Sinclair speaks for himself. Great experience and knows where the goal is.
Absolutely. Lanark were held to a 1-1 draw with Fanart as well. Lanark, will feel like another missed opportunity.
To be honest, I've not seen much of Fanart or Lanark this year, but the things that I've heard about Lanark and about how well they're doing, and obviously Fanart being a newly promoted side into the league, then you would have thought that Lanark would have looked to have taken 3 points. But again, I'm not credited to say, but fair play to Fanart to be able to get a point out of that.
Big result for Larkhall as well. 4-0 home win over the Rye. Smith with a double goal from Stevenson and Shanley. Again, Larkhall, they're kind of sweeping. They've been unbeaten for a while. They're kind of sweeping under the radar as well.
I think the thing about Larkhall, and a lot of people agree, it's a horrible place to play. And it is. It's not a great place to play, but fair play to the management. They still try and play football. They don't lump out of that. They still try and get the best out of it. And listen, they've got some great players, some really good players up there. But I don't think MD enjoys going there. And if I was a manager at Larkhall, I'd enjoy that. I would enjoy it. Teams didn't want to come and play against me. It's maybe one of the things that we've got up at Petershill, that teams enjoy playing on the AstroTurf and don't mind and think it's pretty and stuff like that. You go to Larkhall and you have to get your sleeves rolled up, and it's whether you've got it or you don't. And you see that they take advantage of that, and which is good for them.
Yep, absolutely. Just some of the other results. Kello won 1-0 away to Vale of Leven. Port Glasgow Juniors won 4-1 away to Royal Albert. Big win for Bellshill, a 3-1 home win over New Mains. And Girvan drew 2-2 with Carluke. What kind of result stands out for you there?
To be honest, Bellshill have been the one for me where I know Dean Muir from when I was younger, when he was at Bellshill as a player. I'm really not surprised by how he's been able to get the players in, especially with his pedigree in the game. I think given a full season, to get them going and come next year, I think they'll be challenging definitely for next year, if they're able to keep that consistency up.
Yep, absolutely. Big results, obviously, for Kello as well. And Port Glasgow, big result for them. They ended a 3-match losing streak. Girvan and Carluke drew 2-2. Let's move into the 4th division. We will start with West Park's 2-1 away victory over St Peters. Daly and Donoghue with the goals. West Park, they just keep on winning.
Absolutely. Some of the players I've got there, incredible. Should never be playing at that level. But again, testament to the management team and everybody involved with the club being able to get the players to that. I look at players such as Ben Daly, Eddie Ferns, Ryan Donoghue, who I played with for a long time. It baffles me as to how they would go down there. But again, a credit to the club for doing that, and it's a credit to being able to do that consistently. They just churning goals after goals, win after win, and I really hope they go on to win the league this year, because they certainly deserve it. They certainly deserve it because of the hard work that I know a lot of the guys put in, and especially being able to bring them through as a West of Scotland club. It's something that I've looked to do for a while, and hopefully for them to get that promotion, they come up this year. And listen, they prove stuff up opposition for a lot of people. Not just teams in their league. I watched them earlier on in the season at pre-season. I watched them against Glenafton, and it certainly wasn't easy. And again, that's because of the management and how they're able to keep their players together. And I see again this week that they're managing to keep their players for next year, and I think they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job of building something there, and all the best to them.
Yep, absolutely. Three are in the driving seat for the third promotion place. They won 5-1 at home to BSC Glasgow. Obviously, they benefited from St Peters dropping points as well. They have 2 games in hand on St Peters and a level in 1 point behind St Peters and Three. Again, they would have went here this season with the idea of going straight up, and they're in a good position to do it.
They are. I think for me, if they were the one, they would be the guys that I would feel that, I thought they would have won that league this year, especially when I seen where they got their players from, and the transition of players. Listen, it's never easy for any club with that amount of transition, but with the amount of players that played together last year, and what they're trying to build at the club, I thought they'd have won that league this year. But again, that just goes credit to teams like West Park, who are able to find that consistency and that level of form that takes you there. But hopefully, Three were able to build on it and get themselves forward if that's what they want to do.
Yep, absolutely. The other 2 results in there: Easterhouse 0, Eglinton 6. Doubles from McClintock and Beveridge for Eglinton, and Rossvale Academy 1-2-1 at home to Glenvale. And we're teams like, you look at kind of Thorn, Rossvale, Eglinton, BSC, kind of all those teams, they'll just be looking to get some wins on the board and focus on next season.
Oh, absolutely. I think regardless of what your starting position was this year, financially or squad wise, and everything, you're just trying. Teams in that league, a lot of the teams in that league are just starting to find their feet, and they'll just look to try and consolidate themselves this year and push on. I know there's been a lot of thought. Thorn have put a lot of money into their club, and hopefully that'll provide real good base for them to push on.
Big news coming out of the 4th division as well. Harmony Row will be their spot will be taken over next season by Giffnock Sports Centre as well. And again, that was we kind of thought something like that would be happening. There's going to be a lot of transition, I think, this season for Giffnock.
I think that's one that's been in a pipeline for a wee while. Again, a bit like ourselves. There's a lot of jungle drums that go about the game. People putting two stories together and getting a completely wrong conclusion. But I had heard that was going to happen. Fair play to them. They've worked hard at trying to make their status and cover everything to get in, and we'll just see what they bring next year.
Yep, absolutely. We'll get into talking about the kind of remainder of the season for Rossvale. I think that's the fixtures announced from now until the end of the season. The next game obviously will be the rescheduled game with Kilburney on the 25th. Some big games in there as well. Some big games where obviously I'm just looking here, away to Bonneton, away to Thornleywood, home to Whitlets. Some big games there, and hopefully some big victories for you, and you can keep your place in the league.
Fingers crossed, Scott. Fingers crossed. Let us say that the group of players that we have in that dressing room, for me, on the day are capable of beating MD, and they've showed that. They've shown that. They're capable of beating and competing with anybody, and I wouldn't bet them. I wouldn't back MD against us on our day, but we just need to find that level of consistency. People keep saying to me, "Oh, there's a couple of big games in there." The truth of the matter is, every game's big.
Yeah.
From now to the end of the season, and we need to take every single point that we can. And that's going to be our focus. That's going to be our focus. We don't have any league. We don't have any cup distractions, and we just need to focus on each game at a time, Saturday after Saturday. I think we've got 2 midweek games in there, at home to Gartcairn and at home to Whitlets.
Yeah.
But other than that, we just have to try and we just need to try and grind our Saturdays out and get the points in the bag, you know. But like I say, again, it's a credit to the players. We just need to find consistency, but the level of performance in some of the games has been absolutely exceptional this year. Have they underachieved in some games? Absolutely, but in some they've really shown, and that's why there's been some interest in so many of the players, you know.
I'm just looking at the league fixtures there, and it's going to be 4 away games to close the season. How important is it to get home victories?
Like, the 2 home games are going to be massive, absolutely massive for us. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. Most of our points have came at home this season, and I think it's because, you know, we're used to it. They train on it every week. You know, Tuesday, Thursday, game on a Saturday. They look forward to playing on it, but our home form's got to be better. But we need to try and get 6 points at home, especially in the 2 midweek games, and then, you know, we take Saturday and as another 3 points hopefully, and we go for there. But we're not looking too far in advance. We just got to take each game as it comes, and that comes with Saturday. We started preparing on Saturday there, and we go this week, Tuesday, Thursday.
Yep, absolutely. Obviously, as well, like, it's no matter kind of what league you're going to be in, it's going to be a transitional summer. How important is it that you're going to stay at Petershill?
Oh, it's massive, because it's a real attraction for people. That I was saying earlier, you know, people enjoy playing on the surface. You know, you're not going to a horrible place to play and things like that. You know, and I think the other thing is, you know, get well looked after as well. You're well looked after, not just by the club, but by the people at Partick Thistle Charitable Trust as well, that are running Petershill. You know, they look after you well. They look after the players. You know, all the players respect all the staff there. You know, and that's massive as well. And that's a thanks to our committee and Partick Thistle for being able to, you know, sort that out. That's going to be our home for next year and hopefully years to come. You know.
Yep, absolutely. Kevin, it's been an absolute pleasure to be on the show, mate. Best of luck for the season ahead, and thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, Scott. Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much to everyone who's tuned in. Please follow us on social media for consistent West of Scotland coverage, and as always, subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels. Thanks very much, folks. We'll see you soon. Cheers.